We at the Buckhorn Podcast would like to just take a moment of silence to remember all of the lives lost and those affected in the tragic events of September 11th, 2001.
Welcome to the Buckhorn Podcast. I am Martelle, and with me always is Randy. What up, Randy?
What is up? It's another glorious day here in South Central Ohio.
It is. It's very nice outside. Yesterday was really nice.
Yesterday was beautiful. Yesterday made me really want a motorcycle. Real bad, actually. Looked last night on Craigslist and Facebook a little more.
Yeah.
But I have yet to pull the trigger.
Like as in want a motorcycle, as in want to buy one, or want a motorcycle as in want to ride one?
Well, both. Buy one to ride.
Well, you can go
buy one
borrow
just to have it.
or rent one to
yeah,
ride. Like I want to go swimming. I don't have to have a pool to go swimming. Just saying.
Well, if I look on Craigslist for pools, it's not because I want to go swimming.
I don't know that.
I just take off all my clothes and go jump in the river.
Ew.
I know, rivers are gross. I just take off all my clothes and jump in the neighbor's pool.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey. Come out here and jump in your neighbor's pond.
I don't think he'd mind.
It's a glorious day. I am still dealing with my illness. Illness. The good news is the doctor said that, like, I'm over the nasty part of it, but the side effects of the hacking up a lung could last up to 3 months.
Awesome.
I was like, what did I catch? Syphilis?
Syphilis of
like,
the lung.
I've got the gift that keeps on giving. Like right now, I'm fighting the urge to cough into the mic.
You've got
as I speak.
Clap of the chest.
Oh, the clap of the chest. So, hold on.
Yeah, I'm still dealing with back issues.
And you asked me, said, do you want some bourbon for that cough? And I do, and I'm still in this 75-day challenge.
Yep.
And I'm like, a hot toddy would do me wonders right now.
But is a hot toddy really drinking alcohol, or is it taking medicine?
I see it as taking medicine because I don't drink it just to drink it. If I take the time to make a hot toddy, it's because I'm sick.
Right.
I mean, they don't taste bad, but it's like
that's medicine. That's not. You don't make a hot toddy just to go. Oh, look at me! I'm so fancy drinking a hot toddy.
I don't have any bourbon, but I do have me some Arizona green tea with ginseng and honey.
Wow.
Do a little taste test. Rate donuts on some Arizona tea.
That's gross.
This ain't gross.
They're not great.
They're not bad, though. I got it for the green tea with ginseng and honey is, like, good for you.
How much sugar's in that?
7 sugar. Sugar, 17 grams. Times 3.
That's a lot of sugar.
So, well, I mean, it's honey. It's natural sugar.
No.
That's sugar from Jesus.
Yeah, no. That's not Jesus tea.
Ingredients are premium brewed green tea using filtered water. Second ingredient, high fructose corn syrup.
Right. There's your honey.
Well, this probably ain't great for me. But I also have coffee and water here, so.
You do. I gave you a big glass of water.
Just black coffee.
So, well.
The way I like it.
Yeah, I am 2 weeks in to
being bionic.
Well, no, there's nothing bionic about my back. I wish there was. I asked.
You're doing like a praying mantis pose right now, though.
I am. I'm stretching my back out as much as I can.
You look like you're about to start the YMCA up in here.
YMCA. Yeah. Now I'm in week 2 of recovery for my back surgery. Surprisingly, I am mobile as.
You seem to be doing good.
I'm really
way better than you used to be.
Prior to back surgery.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, like it is. The ability to move at this point is, I don't want to use the word staggering, but it's staggeringly amazing.
I don't want to use the word staggering. Someone use that with another word.
Right. It is double. It's a negative positive. It's negative positive. It's baffling. Like it's really weird how they can just go in and say.
And fix you?
we're going to do this one thing. This is the issue. We know this is the issue. We looked at it through modern technology of X-ray and MRI.
Back in the good old days that everybody wants to get to, they would just stuck some leeches on you, and a dentist would have pulled some teeth and let some blood out.
You would have went to a barber.
They would have, or that's what I mean, a barber. And then they would have drilled a hole in your head to let the demons out and been like, "You're fine.
You're good.
Do some cocaine about it. Here."
I would have been sure.
Take some chloroform. See us when you wake up.
Yeah, chloroform. So you asked me about that on the last show.
About chloroform?
Yeah, you said, did they chloroform you? And
I
said, oh, yeah, and I forgot to get back to that part. So real quick, when they put the mask on me, I couldn't breathe.
The mask was a washcloth.
It was just a washcloth with chloroform.
It was a damp washcloth.
They're like, breathe deep. I'm like, this smells funny. No, I was out.
Did you see the video I posted last night about that?
No, because I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, that's right. A guy tried to prove chloroform don't work.
So he says,
he has a washcloth. He's like, I want to prove it doesn't work. And puts it over his mouth, big breath in, and goes, see, it doesn't. And he just falls and smacks his head into the closet in front of him and falls.
What a dumbass.
Oh, it's so funny. I love people. This world would be so much more boring without people.
Peopling's fun. See, I used it just like motorcycling.
There you go.
Peopling. I was on Craigslist peopling.
Motorcycling, the act of riding a motorcycle.
Peopling,
the act of riding of
trafficking people.
Of trafficking people? Oh. Speaking of chloroform.
Yeah, did you hear about...
I had a really weird dream last night about human trafficking.
Where
I saw it happening. So my buddy, Garrett, Garrett, moved into a house.
Yep, he is a human trafficker.
That was unfinished. And I went to visit him and his wife, and then my buddy Hoop lived down this gravel alley by a red house, and if you took the gravel alley, it led you behind a Walmart warehouse. And long story short, a box truck pulled up, 2 guys got out, led 11 Asian women into the garage of this place that Garrett was renting but didn't own, so he had no clue what was going on. And then the security cameras on Hoop's house caught all these Asian women getting taken to the Walmart warehouse where they were getting sold as sex slaves. And
you have an underlying issue.
So what happened was I was really sick last night. I'm usually up to like midnight or 1, and at like 9:30 I was falling asleep in my recliner. I wake up, take some, had a real bad headache. I took Prilosec and what was the other one? We have
Oxycontin.
Oxycontin, cocaine. And
meth.
then I drank some meth.
Fen.
I snorted some marijuana. No, it was neoproxen, I think, or it was like ibuprofen.
Okay.
For my headache. Beth's like, well, take this. It's the same. It's a painkiller.
Okay.
Then I went to bed. I felt fine going to bed. I laid in bed probably an hour before I got back to sleep, and I just had the weirdest dream. And then myself, Garrett, and Hoop, who's been on the show, all were like getting arrested for being part of this, and we were like, whoa, like it was one of those like wrong place, wrong time. Like we had no clue about it, but because Garrett was renting the house,
and you were shopping
in
Walmart,
falling in on him and his wife and his kids, and I was hanging out with him, and then Hoop, who lived 100 yards away from each other down this alley or whatever, or closer. And then Hoop had this really old style, real nice brick house with all these fancy cameras. They were like, hey, we saw you guys here when these girls were getting unloaded into this garage. You're obviously part of this. And we were like, whoa, like, no. It's not us. It's the Walmart down at the end of the alley. And they're like, Walmart doesn't traffic people. So I woke up with us trying to explain to the FBI that Walmart is trafficking humans, most of them underage looking, and it wasn't us.
Wow.
So here I am today.
So if anybody out there analyzes dreams, go ahead and analyze that.
Yeah, shoot us an email on that one.
Let Randy know
what's going on.
What's wrong with
him. Is it the fear of getting arrested for something I didn't do? I've never, ever trafficked a human as far as I know. Not on purpose. If I did on accident, my bad.
You would know if you sold a human.
But I'm pretty sure I've never done anything. Like, I've broken the law. I've gone over the speed limit.
That's
we talked about when I was like 12 and I stole a squishy eyeball keychain.
You could be a human stuck in traffic.
Oh, it's my hatred for traffic.
Nailed it.
I hate people who get me stuck. That's it.
Nailed it. Done.
Here at the Buckhorn Podcast, we will analyze your dreams. Send them in to us at buckhornpodcast@gmail.com, and we will tell you how messed up you are.
There we go. Randy's still dying.
Sorry. The worst part about it is, the more I talk, the more I hack. And that's really bad for our podcast.
It is.
So
You should probably drink
talking?
You should probably drink water instead of coffee.
But coffee's good.
It is good, but it's going to do is
This is Duke of Dutchard coffee.
it's going to do is create phlegm and leave that in your mouth.
So when I was living with my roommate Andy, who's one of the most lovable people, God bless his heart, that ended up with a very successful Army career somehow. We were living together. We're watching some stupid show late night. I forget what it was. And some guy, it was like Cops probably. And he was talking about a guy, the way he's dressed up. He said he looked like a duke. And I said, a duke? Of all things, like nobody goes, that guy looks like a duke. And he's laughing. I said, a duke? I said, like kings and queens and dukes. He goes, yeah, like the Duke of Dutchard.
The Duke of Dutchard.
The Duke of Dutchard? He goes, yeah, the Duke of Dutchard. I said, are you thinking of the gas station in town called Duke and Duchess? And I just lost it. And ever since then, I've called that gas station the Duke of Dutchard. Wow. And that's where I went this morning for gas and coffee. And even in the 9:30-ish, 10 o'clock hour, the Circleville Duke of Dutchard draws some interesting people.
You should take pictures.
Oh, man. It was like
people of
Walmart on crack.
You can do people of Circleville.
Well, that is Circleville. People of Walmart on crack.
Well.
I mean, the mullets were there. It was every stereotype you could ever want. I went to look at the Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwiches, and I'm like, that's a bad idea.
Gas station food is never a good idea.
And I walked over towards them, and a lady came around the corner and stood in front of the case, and I stopped because she got there before me. She didn't push in front of me.
Right.
And I was going to wait my turn, and I was looking at her, and I was looking at them, and I was looking at her, and I went, well, she's about twice my size. I'm going to go ahead and let her eat all 8 of those. And I just got back in line and paid for my coffee and left. My coffee and my tea. And cranberry juice. I had cranberry juice on the way.
You got a UTI?
I don't think so. My throat does.
You might as well get one.
I got a throat UTI.
Ugh.
But, yeah, so I went to Duke of Dutchard for my coffee this morning, and I saw the big, tall, white dude that looked like a lumberjack walk in and grab a donut and then eat it as he was getting his other stuff. And he went up the counter and paid. He's like, by the way, I already ate a donut because I was hungry.
Hey, at least he paid for it.
So that was cool. Oh, yeah. Props for being honest. And then I saw the interracial couple who both looked like they were not taking the best of medications or legal ones.
Meth.
Yeah.
Heroin. Fen.
I saw the woman that was 2 of me, and that's saying something. I'm not one to judge anybody, and I'm not judging her. She was just a large individual.
I judge.
And then I was there, and I guess I'm the bearded, ugly dude with a ponytail. I don't know what I am, but I was there. And then standing outside was about 4 or 5 good old boys smoking and drinking coffee and hacking, and one of them had a long Kid Rock style haircut. One of them had a full on mullet.
White trash.
And one of them, he just looked like an old dude that he'd lived a rough life. They were all cordial. They were all nice. Everybody was nice today.
That's good.
But it was good. It was good peopling. Had a
I
good time peopling while getting my gas and coffee.
That's what I'm doing later today. I'm going peopling.
Oh yeah, down to the Honey Festival.
Going to the Honey Festival. Maybe. It looks like it's going to rain.
I know. I thought about
peering out that window. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So today.
Tom Cruise.
Today is Tuesday, November 9th. No, 10th. Sorry. 10th. And tomorrow is 9/11, which is when most people will be listening to this. So
right.
We figured we would do another 9/11 show, tribute show. Go over, I don't know, facts, talk about what we were doing that day again. Just kind of remember the day. So, do you remember where you were when Flight 11 hit that first tower.
Absolutely. Yeah, so in September 2000, I graduated high school in 01, in June of 01.
Okay.
So I was, I started college in late June, early July. I started dividing, they do trimesters. So I started college real soon after high school, like a month after. The day of 9/11, I was at home, living with mom and dad. I was working at a gas station at the time. Was off work that day. And I woke up, went upstairs because Dad had 19 projects for me to help him with. And at that time, that early in the morning, I usually would still be asleep. I'm so sorry. But, of course, Dad being Dad, says, I got the day off. We're going to get work done. Dad was a mail carrier, so he got one day off a week because he worked most Saturdays.
Yep.
That just happened to be his day off. So I went upstairs. I'm getting ready. I'm kind of groggy. He's getting ready. We ate breakfast. Mom made who knows what, sausage, green biscuits, or some eggs and bacon or something. And I'm sitting on the blue couch that they no longer have in their family room watching the TV they no longer have. The first plane hit. It wasn't televised. We were watching the after effect.
Right.
The news report saying a plane hit. So we're like watching it, getting ready, thinking, man, like that's tragic. That's real sketchy. Wonder what happened. Thinking it was an accident. Which back then there was in pre 9/11 America, there was no reason to believe anything like that would be anything other than an accident. We felt invincible. We were told.
Well, it had happened before.
Not that way.
Not that. No.
There have been attacks. The bombing in 93.
No. There was a soccer player or a singer or somebody had actually flown her Cessna into a building on accident.
Oh, you're talking about like an accident. Yeah. That happened. I thought you meant the attack.
No. Just a plane into a building on accident.
I mean, as far as the terrorist attacks, that was not even in our mind. When I grew up, all the way through high school, America was... Everybody in the world saw what happened when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor.
But that wasn't a terrorist attack.
No, that was a militaristic attack.
Right.
But my thing was, we grew up knowing that when you attack America, bad crap happens to you.
Right.
So, I would say, like people our age and younger, it wasn't even in my thought that it was an attack as I was watching the news. And we were actually getting ready to go to TSC in Circleville. I remember vividly where we were going. And Dad was tying his shoes, sitting on the other end of the couch where I was, kneeling down, tying his shoes when the second plane hit. And we both just stopped. I mean, Dad was like bent over, tying the shoe, and just, when a second plane hit, he jerks his head up, and we just stared. And at that point, you realize this is no accident. Two commercial airplanes do not hit the Twin Towers, by accident.
Right.
So, Mom kind of stops what she's doing, clean up in the kitchen or whatever, and we're all sitting in the family room, and we watched. I honestly, it felt like forever. We watched coverage for, it had to be hour, 2 hours. All kinds of reports start coming in. We watched for a while, and then we started to get ready to leave, and the first tower fell. That obviously re-piqued our attention, our interest. We sat there and watched the second tower fall. I know it was 102 minutes from the time of the first plane hitting until the second tower falling.
Yeah.
So I know we were there for a solid couple hours. I remember feeling kind of like it was a dream, kind of like, the dream I just described, that kind of felt like it wasn't real, but at the same time, it made me kind of nervous because I didn't know what was going to happen next, because in my lifetime, I wasn't around for Pearl Harbor. I didn't know what it was to feel like attacked. I grew up in a country where we didn't worry about being attacked by other countries. We didn't worry about people invading our land. We didn't worry about people bombing us. It's just something that, born in 1983 and growing up, we never really dealt with major attacks. We knew, I was young at the time, maybe a little, definitely more naive than I am now. But I was never scared of being attacked. And in that moment, it felt kind of surreal. Everything kind of stopped. I had friends going to school in New York at the time. This was back before you could get on Facebook, back before you could text. Or at least, we didn't text a lot back then. We might have, I can't remember in 01 if we had the T9 texting. You're trying to make phone calls. Well, of course, everybody lived in New York. I'm sure their phones are getting blown up. Towers are getting jammed.
Right.
Technology back then was not as good as it was now. We still had landline phones. So I remember sitting there, and the three of us were quiet. My brother was in school, and they did say that they were going to be getting sent home early. They let all the parents know, as I recall. But more importantly, I remember us sitting quietly for, like I said, a couple hours total. And then finally, Dad stood up, and I said, well, what are we going to do? And he said, we're going to TSC. And I went, I just kind of sat there quiet. And he said, listen. Now, he grew up the son of a Chief Master Sergeant, Master Blaster EOD tech. My grandpa would be sitting in church with his family, and then somebody in a uniform would come in, whisper in his ear, and he'd disappear for 2 weeks. My grandpa would be sitting at home, get a phone call, grab a bag, and walk out the door and be gone for a month, and nobody knew where he was. He operated at such a high level in the military and did his job so well that that's just the kind of role he played. So my dad was used to life going on.
Yep.
In face of war, in face of tragedy, Grandpa was in Vietnam, and so to my dad, he grew up with the understanding that the bad guys don't win. The terrorists don't win. So I said, what are we going to do? And Dad looked at me and said, we're going to TSC. He said, just because somebody tries to rob us of our freedom doesn't mean we let them. So our day carried on. We came back. We got some work done. We went back to watching. I mean, obviously it was days of coverage. And, excuse me. And I remember us talking about it. I remember us praying about it. I remember what happened in the days, weeks, and months, and even years after it. But that day, I remember a long moment where we just sat glued to the TV, saying nothing to each other, and then Dad saying, "These, terrorists aren't going to win." In that moment, in that day, we could only do so much. So we did that, and we went about our day. And no matter who attacks us or tries to rob us of our freedoms or liberties, we weren't going to let them, no matter what it took. So in that day, after watching news coverage, and we heard about the plane that fell in the field, we heard about the Pentagon, watching all the news coverage stuff, and we kept it on. We went and got our supplies, and we went about our day. And we didn't say a lot. Usually when Dad and I worked together, and when Papa was around or whatever, we'd joke a lot. Somebody hits their thumb with a hammer, we laugh at them. Nothing was really said much that day. It was kind of somber. The whole mood was different because even in that day when we tried to carry on with our duties and responsibilities, we didn't know what was next in that moment. But we were going to act and plan as though we had to move forward. We had to carry on. We had to push forward, in our personal lives. We did a lot of different things in the days afterwards, but that day, I vividly remember exactly, and through all the different furniture changes and rearrangements of Mom's living room, I remember exactly where the couch was, the TV was. It was a sunny day, beautiful day. And, I remember sitting there just in shock, in awe, and just the same questions every American asked that day. The who, the what, the why, the how. So yeah, that was our 9/11. It was very, thankfully I was with my family, and thankfully we were all safe, but I will never forget the feeling, and I'm kind of feeling it now. Just, and every 9/11 I end up watching coverage. I end up watching the videos back that people took, the news reports, and it's a grave reminder that we are not always safe. We're not invincible. And that we honestly don't know when our time comes. We don't expect things like that to happen, but the reality is we don't know if it will or not.
Right.
So that was kind of my 9/11, as I recall it.
Nice. Well, not nice, but
I know what you mean.
That you remember. So, same, but completely different. I was actually driving to work. I would have been 21, just turned 21, 3 months prior. Driving my yellow Volkswagen.
Right.
And I worked at Abercrombie & Fitch at their home office in New Albany. Just turned on to Fitch Path, which is the main road heading back to the office in New Albany, listening to Howard Stern on the Blitz when he came across at 8:46 and said, "You've got to be kidding me. A plane just flew into Tower 1 at World Trade Center."
Yeah, and he's a New Yorker.
And he is in New York. So he was like, this can't be true. And he was getting ready to go off. Well, he wasn't getting ready to go off the air. It was 8:46 in the morning. So he still had another hour and 15 minutes before he went off the air. So he continued on. Like, they switched. He switched from entertainer to broadcaster at that point, to straight news journalism broadcaster at that point.
Right.
And they just started pulling in news as it happened. Drove down the path, got parked, went into the office, and I was there early. Like, getting there at 8:45, I was there early to work because most people didn't come in till 10 or 11. People started filtering in. We got, within, 15 minutes, we were in the basement of one of the buildings that was the only room that had TVs, which was the gym. And it had 4 TVs, and there were probably 100 people crammed into this little building, and we watched
the second one. It's weird to think about that now, ain't it?
Right.
Because these days when that happened, you just pull up your cell phone and can find it.
Right. Yeah. This is back when cell phones were around, but it wasn't like they were today.
Schools didn't have a lot of computers in them.
No.
You had like a computer lab.
You had a lab.
Got a laptop, tablet, smartphone.
And it was, like you said, it was the T9 texting, and you had maybe 50 minutes that you could call with. So, we're all down there. We all watched the second plane fly into the building, and I just remember my stomach sinking, my heart dropping. The CEO at the time, Mike Jeffries, called a company meeting. Everybody in the office was outside. He sent everybody home, shut down the office right then and there at 9:45, 9:45, somewhere around that time. Shut down the New York office, got in contact, made sure that everybody that was in New York, New York was fine. Shut down that office, sent everybody home for 2 days. That was it. Office was, we were done for 2 days. I remember getting home. I still have the TV that I watched all the news coverage on is down in the basement. The futon that used to be here in the office was the futon that I sat on and watched everything happen. I remember calling my mom, and her and I talked for 3-4 hours. Yeah. Like, as we were watching news coverage and everything. I'd actually packed a bag and was going to drive to New York to help volunteer. And as I was getting ready to walk out the door, they're like, "Don't come to New York.
Yeah.
We don't need volunteers. There's no way to get in or out of New York at this point. don't.
Well, you're talking. I mean, New York is densely populated.
Right. Well, all the bridges were. Everybody's trying to get out of New York.
Right.
So
emergency crews need room to work.
They need to be able to get in and out. They don't
10 million people showing up.
But and I just remember everything. I remember hearing about the one going into the Pentagon. I've been to the Pentagon and seen the memorial. I was just there 2 Christmases ago when my brother-in-law was stationed in D.C. And we went on a tour of all the memorials and the monuments and stuff, and we went to the Pentagon and saw the memorial there. I remember hearing about the flight that went down in Pennsylvania. Right. So,
and we're not getting into. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around a lot of this.
We're not getting into that. We're not getting into any of that. But at that time, so kind of switching gears here, talk about the day. I can remember looking up. I lived near the airport at that time. Flights constantly coming in. Like I lived at 270 in Broad Street in Columbus by the airport. Constant flights coming in, like day and night. All you hear is the revving up and the thrusting of the engines, the down thrusting to slow down. That's all you hear at this apartment complex I lived at. And Randy's dying.
I'm so sorry.
And so there was nothing. Eerily silent. I could hear the highway because my apartment complex was right off the highway. I could hear the highway, which was weird. So not a plane in the sky. They showed the NORAD flight radar at one point. There wasn't a plane from New York to California in the sky. They grounded everything. And I can remember talking to my mom when all this was going on, and she's like, "Just stay at home, stay at home." I'm like, "They're not coming." Not once it was, hey, this is a terrorist attack. I'm like, there's no chance that they're coming to Columbus. There's nothing. Why would anybody come to Columbus? Plus, all the planes are grounded at this point. There's not going to be a plane flying into a building, and I'm outside of Columbus. They're not going to fly into my apartment complex,
right?
Or
not
to the Kroger,
anyway.
or to the Kroger
right.
that I'm going to go shopping at. My day will continue on at this point. I'm not going to New York as intended. So I'm going to stay here and just carry on my wayward son.
I almost said that.
Yeah, I'll beat you to it. But I can remember vividly, everything about that day, pacing back and forth in my living room, in my apartment complex, petting my cat, sitting on the futon, watching the TV, the conversation with my mom, getting a call from my roommate, who I never talked to, asking me if everything's okay at the apartment. I'm like, you're silly. Everything's fine at the apartment. Everything happened in New York. We're in Columbus.
Yeah.
We're good. But in all of that, it was a time where I can remember the entire country coming together. What do you need? What can we do? This, that, and all kinds of afterwards. Well, even the day of, was
after the attacks.
It was kind of.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that scene in Independence Day, which came out a few years prior, where as the aliens are attacking, everybody's kind of drawn together.
Yeah.
And there's that kind of sense of, okay, despite our differences, deep down inside our core, we really care about each other. We're people. We're all people.
Right.
Doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your religion. And it was very much that post the attacks, especially the days after, there was that camaraderie. You drive down the road and just see American flags on every house.
Yep.
You would see people, just in general, just the common courtesy and decency that we've again lost, nearly 20 years later.
And it comes in waves just because of situations.
It takes
It takes a national tragedy.
Like, you've got a sister, I've got a brother. We grew up fighting.
Yep.
But even in the midst, like, think of the time when you and Sarah fought the most.
When I kicked her down the stairs?
Whenever. In that moment, if somebody else kicked her down the stairs, you'd have went ham on them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that sense of we pick on each other, we have our differences, and we hash them out both in healthy and very unhealthy ways, even today. But if somebody else messes with us, we're all together. And that's kind of what, I mean, a lot of people say, I miss that feeling. You can still do that. You can be the change in the world. You can be kind to people.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of evil exists, but I remember the days I have now, something shocking to me. I was, we had planned for me and 4 of my cousins and another friend had all planned to go to New York for years. Go to the Big Apple, right? We'd never been there. We grew up watching Friends and we'd seen it in movies and you hear about how big the city is, but you never really, I mean, we didn't have the internet back then. Now I can get online and look at satellite pictures of New York if I wanted to. I couldn't do that. So you hear about Central Park and you hear about all the great sights, Broadway, and so we decided we're going to New York. Well, the date that just happened to work for everybody was Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, which was January of 2002. So we planned this trip, almost like 8 or 9 months in advance. We decided, okay, so I was the youngest one. I'll be out of high school. We planned this pre 9/11.
Right.
Whenever, I can't remember exactly when we planned it. It was just, 9/11 happened. So we all kind of went, should we still go? Well, months after, it was safer. Things started changing in the country. Flights were not canceled, but the security
got ramped up.
It escalated drastically. So, and we were driving, we weren't flying, so we weren't as worried about that. So yeah, we got back to our days here in Ohio. Post 9/11, we did, the Halloween thing, Thanksgiving, Christmas rolled around, New Year's, and then it came time to come, and we had a rental van. We left the south end of Columbus, is where we all met up. Had a rental minivan. All 6 of us loaded into it with all our gear and headed out to New York. We left at I can't remember. I want to say 9, 10 at night, something like that. Drove through the night, and we arrived at our hotel in Tarrytown, if I remember correctly, which is outside the city, at 5 or 5:30 the next morning. The hotel thankfully let us check in early. Got our 2 rooms. We had 4 guys, 2 girls. We got our 2 rooms. And we planned on just having a good time partying all weekend, really. Go see some sights and this, that,
Yeah.
So the very first thing we did was unload our gear and then found out if we hurry up and grab a train, it was Friday morning, hadn't slept. As a matter of fact, the whole way out there, I remember us all popping those Yellow Jacket energy pills you buy at gas stations.
Ugh.
And drinking the old school energy drinks.
Yeah.
I'm surprised none of our hearts exploded, to be honest with you. But yeah, we were all hopped up on whatever those are in those pills. So we're all super hyper on this energy boost. We decide we're going to go get on the Today Show. So we take the subway. We get to the subway station. We have no clue what we're doing. We're 6 Ohio kids, never been to New York. Get on the subway, right into the city, get off. Ask a guy, hey, do you know where the Today Show is? He's dressed in a 3-piece suit, carrying a briefcase. He goes, I'll walk right past it, follow me. New Yorkers walk at the same speed we run at.
Oh, yeah, they move.
We were jogging to keep up with this guy, not breaking a sweat in a 3-piece suit, just trucking. So we go do the Today Show thing. You kind of see us in the background of the episode. I mean, it was from 01, it's like I have a copy. We didn't get to talk to anybody, but we did that. It was, when we come up out of the subway, the first thing was, holy crap. We're in downtown, we're in New York.
Yeah.
We do the Today Show, decide to go back and get some rest, and then we'll go back out that evening. We ended up going, just partying later that day at night. We didn't go back to the city, but the next day, which would have been Saturday, we decided to go to the city. And we didn't know where we wanted to go. And where we ended up was a few blocks from Ground Zero. Mm-hmm. So we come up out of the subway, and it's chaos, is the only way I'd put it, in that there's big city traffic. There's people going about their day. Because one thing I'll say about the New Yorkers that I knew and met, they're resilient. It's hard to phase a true New Yorker. As far as I've been able to tell, if they haven't seen it, they've seen something worse, and that doesn't phase them. So a lot of people are just hustling and bustling. There are people on the streets trying to sell stuff. There are people on the streets going to work. Traffic's crazy.
Living their life
everywhere. And we walked a few blocks, and I realized, oh crap, we're getting close. I didn't know at the time, as a 19-year-old, we were going to where this tragic event just happened. Just by happenstance. We're just walking around the city, really not having a clue which direction we're headed. This was back before you had GPS. We didn't even have a city map with us. And we came up on this fence, and this fence was part of the fence that was blocking off access because they're still cleaning up.
Oh, yeah, they're still...
Months later, it looks like... So we can see through... They had stuff covering the fence, that like green mesh stuff.
Yeah.
There's people in there working. There's heavy equipment. There's guys trying to clean up this rubble.
Well, it was a hole in the ground that went down like 10 stories.
We're not even near that hole. We're on the very outskirts.
Yeah. See,
we're seeing equipment working. It's like they're trying to work their way in, clean up the mess. But all over this fence, there's flowers,
stuffed animals, pictures. Yeah.
And we stopped because like we're 6 young kids. I was 19. The oldest one was 25. So we say we're adults, but we were kids, A couple of them were just starting in their careers. Not really. They just graduated college. I'm just starting college. And, I kind of froze when I was looking at some of these pictures and reading the names, the birth dates, what floor they worked on and which tower, all the info about them. Have you seen me? Please call this number. Have you, what really got us was we kind of stopped it, and it kind of became real to us at that moment, I think. The day it happened, we were kind of shocked. But at that moment, we were kind of, I don't know if scared is the right word. But in that moment for me, it changed it really brought it to life because now I'm coming face to face with what these people are dealing with. What really shook us, though, was the amount of people that came up to us, not knowing we were 6 kids from Ohio, holding pictures of their loved ones saying, have you seen this person?
Right.
And I'm sitting here going, look, it's been 4 months. In my mind, I'm thinking, if you haven't found them in 4 months, even if they were alive when it happened, odds are most people don't live 4 months trapped somewhere.
Right.
Whether you're trapped in a submarine underwater, in a forest, or, unless you have certain skill. 4 months with no food, no oxygen, no whatever, no provisions, anywhere is a bad situation. Right. Let alone when someone is trapped. But these people still had hope that they would find their missing loved ones. And here it was in the middle of a day where they could have been just like all the other people, driving their taxi cabs and going to meet their friends for lunch, whatever they were doing, which in New York, even on Saturdays, people still work. A lot of them. There's all kinds of stuff going on. People are going about their day, but there are these people going, no, I got to find my loved one. And being there at quote unquote ground zero, and to this day, I couldn't point out to you on a map exactly where we were standing. All I know is I was by a fence that blocked us from getting any further. It was a very somber moment. It's one I'll never forget. I actually remember the face of one lady that tapped me on the shoulder and asked me if I'd seen somebody. I said, we're just visiting from Ohio. I'm sorry. But I never got her name. I don't know what she did for a living. I can see her face to this day, though. And from the time I first made eye contact with her until the time that I apologized and she walked away, said, thank you, and walked away. It was like it just happened the day before.
Yeah.
She was still in that mode where this just happened. I can still have hope, or I'm desperate. It was a desperation, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I kind of not gotten over it. I definitely didn't forget about it, but my life was not changed in the same way theirs was.
Right.
My life changed. Our country changed that day. That was the big event. America changed September 11th, 2001. That was a macro change that changed the country as a whole. Not a majority, not some people. It changed everything for all of us. So, but that day, standing there, that Saturday in January of 2002, and seeing her, and then other people had asked some of our group, but that moment made it real to me. That made it, that is the first time where I felt anxious or nervous about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, this could happen again. We're not invincible. We're not untouchable. So, yeah, the days after that, I would say that was the aside from the actual day, I would say that day was the day that really opened my eyes as to what happened, being there. I have other funny stories from that trip, but I'll save them for another time. So many stories from that trip. But yeah, that was it. I think that was the big turning point for me, was being there. Just even walking on the subway, it felt that day, because we walked out of many subways that weekend, but coming up those steps and walking out and then getting up to that fence and kind of going, oh, this is where it happened. The
it's
mood
surreal.
was different there than when the previous day when we were at the Today Show and everybody's going on like nothing happened.
Right. Yeah, everybody
there was like high energy. Hey, we're filming a show, and the whole crowd screaming, holding up their signs, and we're like, yeah, we're get us on TV. And then the next day we were like in the same city, and I couldn't even tell you. I know my New York friends could, but I couldn't tell you how far away from where they filmed the Today Show to where we were. Because, like I said, I don't know exactly where we were. But the mood was so drastically different.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of eerie.
I was there in 2002 as well. I was there in July. We went up for Waterfest, Volkswagen car show in Jersey. And we took the train in from Jersey to New York and walked around and went down to, and I have pictures somewhere. I think I have them in my closet here behind me. I'll have to see if I can dig them out, but we were able to get probably a lot closer than you were at that point. Like, I was able to see the hole. Like, you could see the subway tunnel that went under
where the towers
where the towers were. You could see the subway tunnel. You could see, I mean, when you look at some of the photos that I have, the machinery looks like toys. That's how deep the hole was that they were excavating out.
I don't recall seeing the actual hole where they fell.
But it was eerily busy and quiet and somber, and
it's weird because it's like half the people there are grieving and desperate, and the other half are
tourists. They're walking, and it's a third.
They're street vendors, or
it's people working, going to work. It's people that are looking for other people, or it's tourists. So it's really.
When we left there, we literally went not a block away, and there's a guy selling
street meat.
He was selling American flags, the little ones, snow globes with the Statue of Liberty, and he had some with the Twin Towers in them.
Yeah.
And then like T-shirts, hats, all the ones that, the FDNY, hats and shirts, and I Love New York shirts and all this. I don't want to say like memorabilia.
It's memorabilia.
But that's what it is. It was all this. It was just memorabilia of a tragic event, and I was just sitting there going, "This dude's making bank off a
tragedy."
Yeah. I mean, selling things. Which, anyway, but yeah, it was weird.
Well,
I mean, being a kid from Columbus and growing up really poor, and we dealt with like gang violence type stuff, quote unquote gang violence that happened in the 90s. And we dealt with different issues, just growing up poor and in a poor neighborhood, but we didn't deal with planes flying into skyscrapers and killing our loved ones. So
no.
Seeing something like that, I always heard generations before us can tell you exactly where they were when
Pearl
Kennedy got
Harbor
shot.
or Kennedy
when
or
Pearl Harbor, when these major events happened,
when the shuttle blew up. When
any of the ones that makes a nation stop and stare at a TV or gather around a radio.
The what was the other one? The bombing of the government building.
Oh, Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
That's it.
McVeigh. I remember that one.
Yeah, I mean that would have been the last
Columbine,
quote unquote terrorist bombing.
I mean, Columbine's kind of they call it the micro event that changed the country, 9/11 being the macro. Columbine's one's very vivid because I was still in school when Columbine happened. So.
Yeah. I think I was just out of school when that one happened.
Yeah, it's very much a
but
yeah, it's weird. It's kind of hard to talk about sometimes now that I'm thinking back to seeing those people and
well,
being older now that I'm older, I'm married, I have kids. It puts me in a different mindset than when I was 19 and thought I'd never die and, nobody messes with America because we're the biggest and the baddest and all this.
Right.
I see life a little differently at 36, so.
Well, you get wiser. Let's go over some facts here.
Yeah, and
what
we tried to do, we actually did a little research, and when I say we, I mean Martelle.
And very little research at that.
But these are ones, we've gone over conspiracy theories about it before. I've watched so many YouTube videos and read so many articles that are whacked out conspiracy, like tinfoil hat conspiracy theories. And some that kind of made me go,
aliens.
That might be plausible.
It was aliens.
Or, that's really weird that he took out an insurance claim on this and the buildings blow up. And, that's really weird. The government's, all that crazy stuff. We're not doing that. We're trying to give actual facts surrounding 9/11. Some of you may have heard.
Facts as we know them.
Correct.
Not facts as...
And I haven't seen these, and Martelle's kind of researched them.
I've looked into some of them.
So if they sound kooky, our bad. You don't come here for the most factual news.
Right.
That's not what you listen to this podcast for.
So we're going to go with the first one. Number one.
You listen for 90s rap lyrics, and because we got good booties.
That's right. Steve Buscemi. The actor, Steve Buscemi.
Yes.
Prior to him being an actor.
Steve Buscemi.
I do too. I think he's a great, fantastic actor. His eyes freak me out.
I love it.
But that's what I love about
the
him.
meme with him when he was in Mr. Deeds with the crazy eyes.
Yes.
I love it.
So,
I mean, that's not his eyes, but
was actually a firefighter.
Yes. Prior
in New York at the time of 9/11.
Worked for a hook and ladder company. I forget which one. I'm sure.
Let's see here. So he goes back. I think he goes back a lot to his company. But
he was known to visit them here and there anyway before 9/11. He never forgot his roots. He's one of those guys that it's kind of like Keanu Reeves. The guy makes us an actor, but he doesn't forget where he came from. So,
right. So
go ahead.
It was Engine Company 55 in Manhattan's Little Italy.
Yes.
That's where he was at.
Yes.
So he switched career paths and he
basically became an actor.
He became an actor, and then he comes back a lot. But he went
back when 9/11 hit. He did return.
He did return,
and he did not do it to go down there and say, "I'm a celebrity.
Nope.
I'm going to donate money." He did not tell anybody. Actually, the fact that he went down there didn't even come out until long after the event.
Right.
As I recall, there was no fanfare. He went back, suited up, and worked
for 12 hours.
Yeah.
For 12 hours, he cleared through the rubble. He helped. He didn't want any pictures taken of him. He just was there to help and do what he did as a firefighter prior to.
And didn't ask anything in return.
Nothing
no
in return.
Publicity, no fan. Actually, he didn't even. It wasn't even mentioned until years later.
Right. Well, no one. That's the thing. No one knew he was a firefighter.
He told his old friends, "Hey, I'm back. Let's get to work.
Let's do this."
And they kept their mouth shut about it.
Yep. So that is
what until like 2013? Is that what it said?
I
think it said 2013, whereas he
took an opportunity to in 2013, 2013 to recognize the firefighters turned actors' kind gesture, which was the first time anyone even knew about it.
Yeah, it was a picture from the Brotherhood of Fire Facebook page.
So you guys can't see it,
a picture
but
saying, "Do you recognize him?" And there's a picture.
He's sitting on top of the truck.
He's on top of the truck, riding right along. And honestly, if I saw that picture,
I would have never recognized him.
I wouldn't look that closely to see if I recognized any of them.
Right.
I don't know any firemen in New York. I know firemen in Pennsylvania. I know firemen in Ohio. So, yeah, if you look closely, you go, "Oh, that's Steve Buscemi with the helmet on, right on top of a truck." So that's a cool fact. It's a very cool fact, and some of you may have known that before, but I think it bears repeating because it would be so easy for him to say, "I used to work there. Hey, everybody, donate to this fund," or "Hey, everybody, send your support," or "Hey." He literally strapped up, didn't say a word to anybody, and just went and did his job.
Yep.
He felt like he needed to go work, so he pulled a 12-hour shift when he didn't have to.
Did what he needed to do,
because he knew they
helped
need help,
out.
and he had experience. It wasn't just you or me packing a bag and showing
packing a bag and
what
showing
can I
up.
do?
Hey, I'll help move stuff, serve water, whatever.
So,
but yeah, so that's really cool. So, two other not maybe widely known facts or that are little strange. Seth MacFarlane, creator of the Family Guy, American Dad, Ted and Ted 2.
Just tons of movies.
Tons of movies and shows. He actually was supposed to be on one of the flights. I don't know if it was Flight 11 or 77. But he was, I don't remember. I think it was 11 out of New York. So he was supposed to be on Flight 11, I believe. It may not have been Flight 11. I don't know. He was supposed to be on one of the flights. I can't remember. Actually, I think what ended up happening is his driver took a wrong turn, or somehow he was delayed in getting to the airport. That is not widely known on why he was not on that plane. But I'm not going to fact check that. I just know because I've heard it from multiple sources that Seth MacFarlane was supposed to be on the flight.
Right.
But I can't remember exactly what it was.
Like he was warned not to. He just legit missed the flight.
He just legit missed the flight because of another reason.
Right.
Driver was late, traffic, whatever it was. But I'm not going to go into any deeper than that because that's not what I'm doing.
Ted in Ted 2,
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg was supposed to be on that flight.
Was supposed to be on the flight as well. Yes, the same flight, and he missed that flight.
Which there are tons of stories I've read about people missing the flights. Somebody's dad was supposed to go out of town for business, or somebody's cousin was, so many people were. I mean, one of the real popular ones is the guy's alarm didn't go off.
Right. But this is
because his alarm malfunctioned or whatever, he missed a flight. But this, obviously there's tons of stories around this, but we're just hitting some of the highlights.
Yeah, and these are actors and
right.
If Seth MacFarlane had gotten on that flight, we wouldn't have Ted, but we wouldn't have gotten Ted 2, which was a disaster. But we wouldn't have Family Guy. We wouldn't have American Dad. And if Mark Wahlberg had gotten on that fight,
we would have Family Guy because he started that before.
But it wouldn't have continued.
It continued without him now.
He does a lot of the voices.
Yeah, he don't do the writing or anything anymore. That's why he went down.
No, but he did the voices.
But anyway,
if Mark Wahlberg had been on the flight, he wouldn't have been able to buy the dealership here in Ohio.
No Chevy dealer, Mark Wahlberg Chevrolet.
Right. So
back when Marcus Wahlberg was still Marky Mark.
But so here's a couple other facts. They're not as fun facts as those. But on September 11th, 2001, 2,996 people were killed in the terrorist attack at World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon building in Virginia, and the plane crash in Pennsylvania.
And that's not counting all the deaths after, years later. Speaking of another actor, and we didn't mention this before, but Jon Stewart campaigned to get the coverage for the medical bills for all these firefighters and first responders
to be covered.
That the government was going, we're not going to do that anymore. These people there are people still dying, suffering today, 18 years later.
One of the
due to the effects just being down, the people that weren't even affected as far as the collapse of the buildings, the ones that were downtown, breathing in all the crap.
Well, one of the fire
still
chiefs
dying.
just passed away.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but he went in front of Congress with Jon Stewart.
Yep.
And looking at the before and after pictures of him from 2001 to 2019, wow, just a huge difference
I read an
his
article
health.
on it, and I didn't save the article because it'd take a lot of time to read all the names of the people, but the respiratory infections and all the stuff they've dealt with, the cancer.
Yeah,
they've contracted from this.
That's what the gentleman passed away.
So that 2,996, they said is now closer to around I think 9 or 10,000.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of people that have died from the effects surrounding this event. So,
man,
it's such a, when you hear those numbers, when you hear 10,000 people died in war overseas, or we hear 100,000 died in this war, whatever, when you hear about the loss, the number lost in the Civil War, holy crap.
It was huge.
But we're so far removed from that, even though it wasn't but a few generations ago. For us here today, it's huge. But to hear the thousands of innocent lives who did nothing more than go to work that day.
Yep.
Or did nothing more than were walking down the street that day, and now they're dealing with the effects of it years later. It's staggering. It's absolutely, my heart just goes out to those people, man. I can't imagine.
No.
Kids today, there's one I saw where the daughter was born a couple months after 9/11. Dad died in the building, and never knew her dad because he was, by all accounts, he should have met his firstborn, and
right.
She should have had a dad, and now it didn't happen just because he went to work that day. And
it's awful,
terrible.
But the attack on 9/11 is the largest loss of life by a foreign attack on American soil.
Yeah.
So,
which is kind of what we were just talking about. It's an attack like none before and none after.
Right. 18 people were rescued alive from the rubble from World Trade Center after 9/11.
Now, think about that number.
2 buildings come crumbling down.
Yeah.
You've got almost 3,000 people die from that, and 18 people survive.
You can name 18 people without even thinking about it.
Right.
You go to the gym and even get a time there's more than 18 people. That's all that they pulled out of that rubble, out of thousands. It's terrible. And the ones that one of the statistics, and I saw this a couple months ago. I was listening to the last podcast on the left. They're known for very comedic coverings of the macabre, serial killers, murderers, just really, they're true crime. It's all about true crime with them. But they did a few years back a 3-part on 9/11 that's very just factual. It's not.
We'll put a link to that as well. They did they did just an in general. They did a factual.
The day of with facts like we're doing today. Then they did a conspiracy theory, one and this and that. Well, after listening to that, and because of that, I started doing more research, and I found the people that jumped was something that kind of intrigued me.
Yeah, because there's that iconic photo of
the falling man.
Where
he looks like he's striking a Superman pose.
Yeah.
But I started watching videos of people jumping. I saw photos, and then I found, and I don't recommend you Googling them if you have a weak stomach at all, but pictures of people that hit the ground.
Oh.
I'm not going to describe it here, but it was shocking. And it kind of put me in that mindset of what would I do if I felt I had another option. And then I saw a video last week, actually. There was one of those giant windmills, those huge windmill farms. There's 4 guys went up to work on one for a day, just general maintenance. I do general maintenance, not on windmills, but a fire broke out. 2 of them were able to get to the staircase and get down, but the fire blocked the other 2 from getting down. One of them jumped. The other one's burnt body, was found by responders in the following days. And it reminded me of the 9/11 where people went, do I sit here and burn to death or do I just jump? And the thought of the people who loved life, who were happy, who weren't depressed, who weren't suicidal, who had so much to live for, realizing there's no way out and just jumping.
Well, they chose.
Death. Well, they chose, but they knew they were going to die either way.
Right.
There's no way to escape death is what I mean.
Right, but they chose the faster way.
Right. The faster, but it's faster. You're not going to sit there and slowly burn to death. A lot of them probably they probably died before they caught fire, I'm guessing, with the not breathing.
Smoke inhalation and everything else.
Smoke inhalation, loss of oxygen. But my thought was, what goes through the head, through the mind of somebody who thinks about their loved ones, the ones that called their family and said, I love you, as they jump from the building. Between the time they jump and the time they die, I can't imagine the mental anguish of being in a spot where I felt like I'm going to take the quick way out. People of all different backgrounds, all varying degrees of religious beliefs, political beliefs, whatever, all got to the same mental point of this is it.
Yep.
And I can't imagine. I mean, I pray to God, or you can have hopes, you can pray to Buddha, whoever you choose to, but for me personally, I pray that I never, and my wife and my kids and my loved ones never have to get to that point where you have to make a choice of, do I sit here and wait it out, knowing I'm going to die, or do I just go?
Just do it.
And, man, it's terrifying to think about, to put yourself in that kind of headspace.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of, if you let that kind of stuff overcome you, man, that could drive you mad.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
It
was bone chilling for me to look into the ones that jumped.
Yeah. I wouldn't look into that because
I was alone. Beth and the kids weren't around, and I went down a rabbit hole, and it was crazy.
Nope. So the New York Times wrote an article about every single 9/11 victim.
I didn't know that.
I did not either.
That'd be interesting to read.
So the World Trade Center's most famous survivor was a fraud. She wasn't even there.
Oh, and she became the president of its support group.
Yep.
Oh, I'm going to look her up. I want to know more about that story. Her name's Tanya.
Tanya Head.
Head.
She was a fraud.
H-E-A-D. She wasn't even in New York on 9/11.
Yep.
Wow.
Here's one. So after 9/11,
you know what kind of scum of the earth needs attention so bad that they make that big of a lie and think it'll never get found out? Like, they won't be vetted eventually. Sooner
we can
or later,
do an entire episode on people that do that nonsense.
You tell lies in high school, or you tell lies at that family reunion or whatever. You got issues, but to do it on that big of a scale, holy crap! Like, what a piece of dirt.
Yep. There's people like that everywhere that capitalize that way.
Oh yeah, they do. Absolutely. Sorry, I don't know why. You started another one. I went off a little tantrum.
Oh, it's fine. It's a kind of a inward brain fart for you.
Tanya kicker in the head.
That's right. So after 9/11, and I'm going to butcher this, the Maasai. Okay, the Maasai tribe of Kenya gave 14 of the most important cattle to America as aid.
Which seems really, really insignificant to us.
But to them,
people that literally can go buy ground beef at Kroger today without thinking twice. But to a tribe to give up a large portion of the little they have, it reminds me of the biblical story that Jesus told, where the widow gave a couple coins and the rich people gave a ton of coins. But she gave her last little bit, and they gave a small portion of what they owned.
Right.
And he told the disciples, she sacrificed more. It's that same mentality. 14 cattle doesn't seem like much of anything, and that's probably why I didn't make big news. Because I didn't know that before this.
I didn't either. That's why I like these facts.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them we didn't know.
14 of their best. That's what they live on.
Right. That's what they gave.
Yeah, and they gave a huge part of themselves saying, hey, we support you through this tragedy, and that's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. So this is one I did hear. I did know, but a month before 9/11, President G.W. Bush was handed a memo titled Bin Laden GW.
I knew it.
He was handed a memo titled Bin Laden determined to strike in U.S., saying it would be hijacking planes, possibly targeting NYC.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I've heard that.
There's a lot of facts and conspiracy theories
around this piece.
What the government knew. The thing with it is, even if it's true, if I hand you a memo that you're going to be shot, you might be on edge, but how many, I'm not saying we shouldn't heed warnings, but how many kind of warnings like that do you think the government hears in any given time frame?
Right. But I think prior to 9/11, they would take things like that and not take it seriously. That's what I was going to say.
Nowadays, if somebody goes in and tells the president, hey, here's some intelligence we have, and I'm assuming this memo didn't just come from Joe Schmo.
No, it came from intelligence.
Joe Schmo 69420 at yahoo.com. It came.
Wouldn't it be funny though if that was the email address?
It would be.
And now you're the prime target.
And dun dun dun, there's the FBI again, knocking on my door. But I think that before 9/11, that's what I was trying to get at. Is before 9/11, you get that and you go, okay, we're the U.S. Even as president, which the presidents only know what they're allowed to know. The presidents don't know everything.
No,
and I think that's a common misconception. So George Bush was handing this memo, and he goes, okay, who do we have on this? He goes on to the next order of business, right? Send that to the Secretary of Defense, whatever, or let's look into this. But before 9/11, that wasn't so. Like I said, we didn't think we could be attacked.
Right.
After Pearl Harbor, the world saw what happened when you attacked the U.S.
We nuke you.
Do it. Yeah. Bad things happen.
Bad things happen.
That affects countries for generations. But it's kind of, I mean, I was in the mindset, like I said, and I was younger, but I was in the mindset of that doesn't happen here.
Right.
Which, getting older than going into Krav Maga and learning what I know, crap happens everywhere, people. It doesn't matter how nice the neighborhood you live in. You know, it's like crap happens. So,
it happened.
Yeah, pre 9/11, I think it would have been taken a little less, not seriously, but it wasn't as threatening as it would be today.
Right. So the 9/11 attacks also destroyed $100 million in art, including work from Picasso.
I didn't know that.
I knew it destroyed art. I didn't know it had anything from Picasso, because they would put art in these buildings because people are tourists and stuff are walking in and out of these buildings, and that's the way to get people into these buildings to shop, essentially. Let's see. In August 2001, actor James Woods reported 4 suspicious individuals on his flight. Authorities did not act on his claim, and they later turned out to be the 9/11 hijackers. I did not know that.
What's also funny about that is Seth MacFarlane, and I didn't think about this, but in the episodes of Family Guy before 9/11, as I recall, he did a lot of jokes involving James Woods, so that's kind of trippy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't either.
But again, you go walking down the road, you see somebody that kind of looks sketchy, and you report it. What do the cops do?
Usually nothing.
All right, we'll look into it. And it could be just somebody tweaking out. As long as they're not if they're walking around shooting a gun at people, they're going to respond. But hey, there's a guy walking down the street, just kind of talking to himself, acting a little weird.
They don't do anything.
They're not going to do much.
No.
They've got bigger fish to fry, and too small of a
budget to deal with it. So the CIA had
James Woods calls today. Hey, there's some sketchy looking dudes on this plane. They're kind of looking around and being suspicious. They might get looked into a little closer.
Maybe. He's been kicked off of Twitter twice.
Yeah, everybody gets kicked off Twitter. I don't even get on the tweets.
I've been kicked off of Twitter.
But that's funny.
I know.
But how is it that everybody gets kicked off Twitter except Trump, even before he was president?
They're not kicking him off Twitter. Anyway, the CIA had a secret office on the 25th floor of 7 World Trade Center and another nearby building that collapsed after that.
Yeah, and that one, it collapsed after. There's a lot of conspiracy behind that one,
right?
Because it wasn't near the buildings. It collapsed. Well, quote unquote, not near. There's a lot of other buildings around the World Trade Center that were not affected. This building blows up and collapses out of nowhere. But maybe we'll do a conspiracy theory episode.
Who knows? Let's see. Yay. Yeah, don't care about that. That's not interesting. 2 F-16 pilots went on a suicide mission to stop Flight 93 on 9/11. In the end, the flight passengers took down the plane.
Allegedly.
Well, so these 2 pilots were essentially going to kamikaze the plane.
Oh, they would have shot it down, which is what a lot of people say happened. But again, we're not going to fall into conspiracy
We're not going to fall into conspiracy. This is suicide
the plane that
mission.
went down where they didn't find much of it. Anyway.
So,
but yeah, two pilots said, "Screw this. We're going to handle this.
We'll manage this." So next one.
No, go back to that one. I like that one.
All right, go ahead and read it.
That one is in New York. 6.5 hectares of buildings were directly affected when the Twin Towers collapsed. So I'm going to do...
So what's a hectare?
Hectares?
Hectares.
1 hectare is 10,000 square meters.
So how big
miles.
is 10,000 square meters then?
Hectare... 2 miles. It is 0.00386 square miles.
So 6.5 times.
So it's roughly 2.5 acres.
That's smaller than my plot of land.
Well, 2.5, 1 per though. So that's 6.5.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying 6.5 is 2.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, 1 per.
Okay.
So you're talking a total of roughly 16 and a quarter.
16 and a quarter
square acres.
All right. That's a lot of land.
That's a big chunk of land. That's my parents. My parents have 8 acres. So 16.25.
That's me and my neighbor.
Yeah.
His
That's
9.
a big chunk of land.
His 9, my 5, and a little bit of land in between us. That's a big chunk of land. So this was not the first terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. There was one in 93. There was a truck bomb in the basement that killed 6 people and injured a couple hundred, I think is what it was. So it's happened before. In 2016, Russia gifted the U.S. a 9/11 memorial monument, which is erected in, is it Bayonne?
Bayonne, I believe.
New Jersey.
I could be wrong.
I could be wrong.
And I've seen pictures of this monument before, and I believe there's something with the way it faces when the light shines through at a certain time of day, like morning or whatever. It's supposed to hit it just right, like at the time the tower fell or something, and cast a cool shadow.
Okay. It looks like a gigantic teardrop.
It is. It's a rectangle with a big crack down the middle that opens up, and this metal-looking teardrop hanging in the middle.
An eerie prophecy attributed to Nostradamus regarding the 9/11 attacks was in fact fabricated by a college student in 97 to show how easily prophecies could be misused.
Yes.
Yes.
And the thing with that is that shows all the conspiracy theories. Like I said, most of them are complete and utter bullcrap.
Right.
A couple of them kind of make you go, that's odd, or, what a coincidence. But most of them are complete and utter bullcrap. And if you remember the internet, right after 9/11, which was
I remember the internet.
a very different internet than now. That's back when forum boards were your social interaction. It wasn't Facebook.
Right.
I don't think there was MySpace till like 2003.
No, MySpace wasn't around.
So
Columbus Racing was.
Yeah, it started in 99, 2000?
99, 2000.
Anyway, but all the other internet sites where we got all our quote-unquote memes back then, which we know they were memes, stuff started floating around. Chain letters started going around. Forward this. The one that was funniest to me was where they said this is going to be the new World Trade Center, and it was like a step-up building. It looked like a middle finger.
Yeah.
People start circulating that as fact. It was like somebody's grandma emailed it to all 80 of her friends or whatever, but the memes and the misconceptions and the Nostradamus things, dude, it went like wildfire.
Oh, I know.
And 99.9% of it was complete trash.
Which is why I quit handing out my email address.
Right.
The man who ordered the grounding of all aircraft in the U.S. on 9/11 was his first day on the job.
The man who ordered the grounding. Oh, okay.
The guy who basically said, no more flights today. Done.
Yeah.
That was his first day.
Hell of a first day.
The company that owned the World Trade Center had scheduled a meeting for 9/11 on Tower 1 to discuss what to do in the event of a terrorist attack, but rescheduled the night before because someone couldn't attend.
Yeah, which a lot of the conspiracy theorists, again, we'll get into that maybe someday,
Right.
but that's one of the big, like,
We're not getting into that.
No. That's not what today's about.
There's a 9/11 memorial in Israel constructed of steel from the remains of World Trade Center.
Yeah.
That I didn't know.
I'd heard about it. I haven't seen it.
In 2002, a 15-year-old boy inspired by 9/11 stole an airplane and flew it into a skyscraper in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, I vaguely remember
He was
that.
the only death.
He's the only one that died because the plane he flew was a little more than a hang glider.
It was made of balsa wood.
It's like a tiny little single prop, and he flew it into a building. And the reason he was as successful is because he didn't have the government helping him.
Conspiracy. On 9/11, 4 people in the South Tower of World Trade Center managed to escape from a floor above the plane's impact. I didn't know that.
4 people in the South there. Huh. 4 out of...
More than 1,100, so this is what we talked about earlier. More than 1,100 people have been diagnosed with cancer as a result of exposure from toxins from Ground Zero.
Yep.
So I
feel like that number is higher too, but...
It may be higher now. It was the largest sea evacuation in the U.S. More than 500,000 people were evacuated on boat in less than 9 hours.
500,000 people in 9 hours.
500,000.
That's insane.
It's a lot of people.
I bet they were just using every kind of boat they could find.
Get your kayak. Stand-up paddle boards.
I bet some people did.
Oh. If they were big enough. Right. Were they big then? I don't know.
What,
kayaks? They seem to be...
I feel like kayaks were still kayaks back then.
Were they?
I mean, they probably carried the one person, but...
Get your canoe. Whittle that thing out of a log.
Put your flippers on and start swimming.
Ooh, I wouldn't get in that water. It's like you getting naked and swimming in a river.
If your choice was get in that water or die, you probably would.
Well...
Yeah, changes things when you're facing tragedy. I'm sure, like, we're under attack and Martelle's like, ew, icky. You see, like, everybody's jumping in, you're, like, tipping your toe, and they're like...
I'm like, yeah, don't do pond water.
Pond water.
Jackie Chan was scheduled to be on top of World Trade Center the morning of 9/11 for a movie, but the screenwriter failed to deliver the script on time.
Okay. I've got to interject here a little bit. But as you were reading that, all I pictured was that scene of him fighting inside during Rush Hour, where he jumps on that giant piece of fabric thing and rides all the way down.
Yeah, like 4 stories.
Top, yeah. I feel like he would just like surf. Never mind. That might be disrespectful, but it's Jackie Chan.
It is. He does all his own stunts.
He does.
When flights got diverted or grounded during 9/11, Canada housed, fed, and sheltered over 33,000 passengers.
Yes.
Thanks, little brother.
Yes. I've got nothing against Canada. I mean... I had one Canadian guy who was on my Facebook a long time ago, and he finally got ticked off enough to...
I don't have anything against Canada. It's just nothing ever good came out of Canada.
The longest
Except
sniper kill
Mike
on
Bublé
from Canada.
No. Ryan Reynolds.
Maple syrup.
No. You can get that in Vermont.
You
can get that in Vermont.
Oh, Vermont's basically
Canada. It's
Canada.
not Canada.
It's just on the other side of the little pond.
Shut up. Only 1,600 victims were ever identified of the 2,749 present when the Twin Towers collapsed.
I mean, you're talking over 1,100 that are unidentified. That's a staggering number to me.
It is a staggering number.
I feel like more people would have come forward and said, hey, I lost this person, or...
Which I skipped one so I could come back to it. Along with the 1.5 4 million tons of debris
Holy
removed.
Crap.
19,435 body parts were recovered from World Trade Center on 9/11.
Body parts, that could be anything, man.
Right. So out of the 1,600 victims identified and 2,749 present, there were 19,000 body parts.
So that I mean, some of the body parts
Could have been a finger.
Yeah, I was going to say some of those belong to some that were identified.
Ooh. Way to go, Microsoft. Microsoft was about to use Prepare to Fly as a slogan for Windows XP launch, but dropped it because of 9/11.
Yeah, that was probably a good call.
That was a good call. There was only one plane allowed to take off after flights were grounded on September 11th, and it was a plane carrying anti-venom to a man bitten by a highly venomous snake.
Huh. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
I want to know more about that man and where he was at.
Who knows? Could have been a black mamba. It's estimated that 1,000 additional deaths occurred in the months following 9/11 because Americans chose to travel by car instead of plane, which it is a lot more dangerous to travel by car than plane.
Yeah.
People are dumb. So this is one that you talked about. For those who jumped from the World Trade Center on 9/11, the fall lasted 10 seconds. They struck the ground at under 150 miles an hour.
Just under.
Just under. Enough to ensure instant death on impact. I would hope so.
If you saw the pictures I saw, you
I
would
don't
know
want to
so.
see the pictures you saw.
You would know so. It's...
Oh, and so I jumped over this. The deaths of those who jumped on 9/11 were ruled homicide, not suicide.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's good. I don't know. I just
Think of it this way.
Significant to me either way.
It's
If I lost somebody, I don't care what you rule it as.
well,
I know they.
it's that's an insurance thing. That's an insurance thing.
Well, yeah.
So that's me and you. We're in a room.
Imagine me and you.
In a
You and me.
in a tower.
No matter how they toss the
Shut
dice,
up. The salads.
it's plain to see.
The
only one. Oh, you about to start singing with me?
No, it wasn't. There's an inferno.
Yeah.
The building's on fire. There's an inferno. And there's an open window, and I'm holding a gun to your head, and you either have to get in the oven or you have to jump out the window.
That's weird.
Either one is not suicide.
Try to take the gun from your hands.
Well, that's
Krav
not
Maga!
that's not one of your options.
Oh, it's always an option.
It's not one of your options.
I learned Krav Maga.
I move faster than you do, even with a broken back.
Krav Maga. Depends
But-
on how close you are.
Though either one of those, if I'm holding a gun to your head, is not suicide if I force you into an oven like Hansel and Gretel or make you jump out of a window.
Okay, is there food in the oven? Because that's going to
No,
affect
you're
my
the
decision.
food
Do I get to taste me before I die?
if you want.
Huh.
That's up to you.
I always wonder what I taste.
Anyway,
like.
I digress. We got to wrap this up here. An estimated 410,000 people were exposed to asbestos, a toxic substance at World Trade Center on 9/11.
That's the big number I was talking
70%
about.
of rescuers have lung problems,
70% of those 410,000 people.
have lung issues. And NASA recovered metal from World Trade Center and used it on Martian rovers as a tribute to those fallen on the 9/11 attacks. I did
not know that.
I did not know that.
That's really cool. So we got
That is
parts
cool.
of 9/11 steel on Mars.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
The last survivor removed from the World Trade Center collapse debris was found in the ruins of the North Tower 27 hours after its collapse.
27 hours, that's it.
Yeah.
And I had people months later
asking you for...
I can't imagine, man. So you're talking 3,000 dead that day, and then 410,000 that had the asbestos. You had the people die of cancer. Like, I mean, this is still... We hear of the 3,000 alive. We don't hear about the other hundreds of thousands affected by this.
Right.
Jeez Louise, man. This is absolutely tragic.
It is. It's a travesty.
Tragedy.
Tragedy.
More people
Travesty.
died that 2,996, more people died than we've had downloads in a year.
Yeah. Well, that's because the show isn't that great. And you got people who don't listen or want to call me names on Facebook.
He didn't call you a name. He said F you. Oh, he did call you dumb.
Okay. He did call me a name.
He called you a dumb.
Yeah.
I call you a dumb.
Yeah, but
With
I know
love.
you. I don't know him.
I call you a dumb with love.
Yeah, but I don't know him.
He knows you. He remembers your yellow Volkswagen.
Just because you remember my yellow Volkswagen doesn't mean that we're friends and I know you.
Little yellow Golf.
So, there's that whole thing.
There's some facts around.
So there's our yearly 9/11 tribute.
I actually learned stuff today. I hope our listeners did.
I did. I learned some more stuff today that I didn't know.
I would apologize that we didn't get crazy goofy like we usually do. We haven't done bourbon taste in a while because of my fat challenge.
And I'm respecting that by not drinking while you're on the show.
Yeah, Martelle's not drinking right now. He probably will as soon as we get done.
Nah, I got family things to do.
All the more reason to drink.
Well, so...
Ooh, I wonder if they have honey mead at the Honey Festival.
They do not.
You already checked?
They didn't last year.
If they do,
that would be the sale of alcohol, and they would have to have an alcohol license. That's alcohol.
Yeah, it's just old honey. It's like I'm not
tomato,
buying wine.
Potato.
I'm
Same
buying
thing.
old fruit.
Anyway.
Check
us out on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitters.
It's the Google Tweetstagram.
There we go.
I waited for a cue that time.
I was waiting for you to do it as I did it because that's what I'm used to. You can send us an email at buckhornpodcast@gmail.com.
There it is.
And we will talk to you guys later. I'm Martelle, he's Randy, and we're out.
Peace.
Pinkies up, guys. Fuck Martelle, football is awesome, he is stupid.
It's all true.
None of it really is. Let's see here. Fuck Martelle, football is awesome and he is stupid. Go fuck yourself, Greg. You and I aren't friends. I don't know you, you can kiss my ass.
Well, there goes our only listener.
Don't give a fuck.
Oh, well then why do I drive all the way here?
I don't know.
Bye.
See ya.